Hi,
Hello,
I'm Julian.
and I am Tom.
We are Team Binge. We are here to talk about Pluribus Season 1, Episode 9. This was the finale. This one was called La Chica o el Mundo. And Tom, we made it. We got to the finish line on another show. Congratulations.
Yes, we did it. We as a collective did it together, and I'm proud of us.
Yes, we did. I don't know, why was there such a pause there? Do you not feel that this is a great accomplishment? Were you not ready for the congratulations?
I wasn't expecting congratulations, if I'm being honest. I feel like we've done enough of these where I'm glad we got through another show. But
Tom, a lot of people are saying we're not going to do it. A lot of people are saying we're too scared to jump. You know?
You don't have the guts.
The guts to jump. Oh, look, he's flying. All right, listen, we're going to talk about the finale. Welcome to all of you who are joining us. But it is the holiday time. And so I wanted to ask Tom very quickly before we get into this wonderful episode of television about something else we're passionate about, Christmas movies. And so, Tom, I have a strong affinity towards Christmas movies. I find that we watch them almost every night as we work our way to the 25th. But do you have a favorite Christmas movie that you love to watch every year?
I feel like when I was younger-ish, not like I'd say like 10 or 20 years ago, I would always watch Christmas Vacation every year.
Okay.
And
but not anymore. You've matured out of it?
I think I've matured out of it. I've gotten everything I needed out of that. I'm sure I'll go back and watch it again at some point, but it hasn't become like a tradition. I feel like I've watched, in the spirit of this podcast, the Ted Lasso Christmas episode that they did, because it's kind of like a bottleneck episode, doesn't really do anything to advance the plot. It's just a fun holiday episode with all those characters from that show. So that's been fun to watch every year. And then more recently, I introduced my son to the Home Alone movies this year, both 1 and 2, and those were a bit more violent in some areas where I didn't remember as much being so violent, but we had a great time, and my kid lost his ever-loving mind watching the burglars get their comeuppance.
I mean, yeah, but it's paint can violence, Tom. It's nail through the foot violence. It's nothing like terrible. We always watch those with the kids. The kids love them. Listening to a kid laugh at Home Alone, like you're kind of like, oh, my kid's wired to watch someone get their teeth knocked out. That's maybe not great. I could not disagree with you more on Christmas Vacation. That's the gift that just keeps on giving, Clark. Like every year we watch that movie, and I would ask you, Tom, very strongly to revisit it. And then the only thing I would mention is I love Four Christmases with Vince Vaughn. But we actually find ourselves with a lot of Ben Affleck in our lives over the Christmas, both Reindeer Games, one of the best action movies ever made, and although we're not talking about Die Hard right now, and then a little known gem that I don't know why I find so funny, but Surviving Christmas with him, James Gandolfini, and Catherine O'Hara of Home Alone fame. They're all great. So those are the ones we typically hit. And we'd love to hear from people. If other than like obviously Die Hard, which I don't know, I don't want to get into the debate. You're saying no on Christmas movie?
No, it's not a Christmas movie.
Literally.
It might
As I said, I
Christmas.
don't want to get into the debate. You started the debate. Oh, man. When's the last time you watched Die Hard, Tom?
Same kind of thing. It's been a couple of years.
Oh, revisit it, my friend. Have your son watch it. Obviously, he's of the age that he should definitely be watching Die Hard. And you'll find it is definitely a Christmas movie. But for those of you that have other delightful movies, we're always looking for more. Reach us at teambingepodcast@gmail.com. Tom, let's now dive into the finale of Pluribus. Let's go in clean, Tom. Let's clean the palate. Let's walk into this. Obviously, there were times where I found this show like slow but deliberate. I have enjoyed it. We got to the end of the season. Did you feel satisfied, Tom? Did you feel full?
I guess and no. I feel like I've got mixed reactions with this episode. Like, it was great to finally get these two characters together, but like we've kind of talked about on the podcast before, sometimes it's infuriating to watch people that just fail to communicate. Like, if they were to just like take a breath, like realize they're both people trying to have like good intentions and communicate. Like it could have been a lot different, but I also get that this is a TV show and it makes it's more fun to watch them kind of go back and forth, especially the language gap that they have, and using the phone to translate it was pretty great. But I feel like there were some things that like Manousos did, and I know we don't really know him very well as a character because we've just seen him kind of interacting with himself, and he's definitely passionate about what he's doing here, but he makes some choices that I felt were a little bit much, and I didn't love it. But I do love the finale here or the final scene where she comes and parks an atom bomb in her front yard. That's epic television right there.
That was great. I don't know that I understand the point, but I got it. I agree with you. I think we knew that when these two were going to meet up, that it was not going to be like love at first sight or friendship at first sight. And Tom, I think you see the world through the eyes of a reasonable, friendly human. And I think based on what the internet has fed me and what Reddit has fed me, that's not exactly how everyone else in the world operates. So
Fair.
I don't know that I was surprised by Carol and Munoz not getting along. But to your point, yes, it did seem to be like almost like let's have them both be irrationally like angry and kind of aggressive towards one another just for comedic and plot effect. But
right.
I enjoyed this episode. I think we kind of knew, since we were getting multiple seasons of this show, that they weren't going to tie this up in a very nice bow. My issue with shows like this nowadays is like we're not going to get season 2 in a year. We're going to get season 2 in like 3 years because these shows just seem to like drag out. The distance between seasons seems to be getting larger and larger. So I'm a little bit afraid that when we revisit this show for season 2, I'm not going to remember anything about it. But I did overall. I did enjoy this episode. I thought it moved quite well.
Yeah, the only thing I would add to that is like I think this show, unlike a lot of Apple shows, like off the gate, they were given to at least 2 seasons. So I think the writers have been actively working in the writers' room for season 2. So hopefully this does come out a little bit quicker than some others where they have to like wait and get the approval from Apple. They already had it.
Okay, well that's good to know. Thank you. I didn't know you were on the phone with Mr. Apple, just getting news updates.
Listen, I called that number in the first episode, and they've been giving me all the updates. Which has been fun, by the way, throughout the entire season. I think I got a text message recently that said, like, "Hi, Carol, you're going to have a visitor soon. We think it'll be very interesting encounter." So, like, I would argue they probably could have done more of them because there was, like, a handful throughout the entire season. But I had a blast with them.
Sure. Every time I get a text message from someone I don't know, I just put spam and report. So I would immediately spam and report the aliens talking to me. We start this episode, I believe, in Peru. I'm basing that off of just like general, I don't know, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego knowledge. It's day 71, and I thought this was a rocket flying up into the air. I was like, oh no, we're going to get more space stuff. But I guess it was an airplane coming in. Took me a little bit. A lot of chemtrails, Tom. I don't want to get into it, but a lot of chemtrails, you know?
That's what I thought too. Like it harkened back to the first episode, and seemingly that's how they spread the disease in one form, I guess.
Or the cure, Tom. You call it a disease. I call it medicine. We've flip-flopped on our opinion of this.
That's fair. But it's kind of interesting the way they did this, because I think we've had some time jumps, but in the same episode of this being 71 days, and then in the next scene where we get back to Carol's house, it's 60 days. So we're seeing this event kind of happen in the future that Zosha is going to bring up kind of toward the end of the episode. So it's interesting the way they shot it.
Would you call it interesting, Tom, or confusing?
Well, confusing at first, I would say, and I didn't really even pick up this character. My wife had to tell me, is it Kusimaya? She was like the one that was from episode 2 with the handful of like English-speaking people that didn't turn. And she was the one that mentioned at the table that she would want to be turned at some point in the future. So now we're just kind of getting that pomp and circumstance and the actual ceremony of it all. Sure.
They were nice enough to give her favorite meal before making her into a weird hive zombie. She seems to exhibit a bit of nervousness, but she informs them that she's not scared. And we get this cryo container that reminded me a little bit of when everyone gets left a gift in Community. I won't spoil that episode for you, but that's what this container reminded me of a little bit.
We've seen like the virus be spread like relatively easily, like through kissing initially, and then maybe through like seemingly inhaling these chemtrails, whatever, of planes in the first episode. But like, I was really interested in what was going to be in this box. I was really hoping like a mouse was going to jump out and bite her in the finger, like the first lady.
That's fair. That's fair. Or, I mean, yeah, if it's transferred by spit, someone just pulls a straw out, chews on a napkin, and shoots her in the forehead with a spitball. You know, who knows?
Yeah. I guess it's different logic for this. Like, initially they could spread it by like kissing, but in this version they got to use the stem cells and make some sort of like special concoction to be able to turn these folks.
Right. They had to use some Halloween store dry ice mix in order to get. Here's what I found most interesting about this whole. First, her willingness to do it. I got it. There's kind of like a cult-like joining happening here. But after she joins the like business-like way in which everyone just departs the village, it's like we were playing a part in this village for her to be comfortable, and now we no longer have to put on airs or pretend, and we're just done. And like how kind of cold and calculated it was that the hive mind was like, all right, that play is done. No one has to do that part anymore. Like, go back to being efficient. And she seems happy, but immediately like goes into business mode as well. So I don't know. I thought that was an interesting aspect and very well done of this scene.
Yeah, it's so wild and like off-putting when like they're singing, they're chanting, kind of doing all this like ceremony, and like you can obviously equate this to what's going on with Kumba, where everybody was like putting on this show and doing a Casino Royale style deal for him. And it's no different for her. It's just maybe a little bit less obtrusive, where she's just living in the same village she has forever, and people are just going about their business, but they're going about their business for her sake and only her sake.
Right.
Except for that goat. I like that goat. And I feel like that goat, like it hit its mark like a champ. Like it walked toward camera and then stopped on that rock. Give that goat an Emmy.
I agree, Tom. I recently, this is no joke, kind of funny. Recently, some neighbors got baby goats, and so they allowed my child to bottle feed them. And I can't imagine trying to teach a goat how to act, because they are wild creatures. And they like nip at you and they butt heads and stuff. So, anyways, lot of goats in my world right now.
Do you guys do any goat yoga? Where they just like stand on your back and stuff?
No, I have not. I don't know that I would want that little goat to stand on my back.
We'll get you there.
I'd be back in the doctor's office almost immediately. All right, so we cut from Peru to Carol's house, and this is her on the drone watch, seeing Menounos drive. He's still in the ambulance, which I don't know why I love. Carol had a cop car, he had an ambulance, and she for some reason later judges him for it. I was like, Carol, you were in a cop car. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, it's a fair point. When they said initially, like, oh, he's 2 hours away, I'm like, oh, man, I really don't hope they drag this thing out. So it's like the very end of this finale they meet, but yeah, he quickly shows up.
Yeah, your fear with a show like this that is as deliberate and steady as it is that for the next hour, we're just going to watch camera footage of Menounos driving. Vince Gilligan's like, audience, I have you in my palm. I'm just going to force you to watch him literally make this drive, and nothing else is going to happen. What a flex. What a flex. Instead, they don't do that. So she discovers he's coming all the way from Paraguay, and Zosia in this moment is kind of like, hey, you don't have to meet him. But Carol's like, well, it's only polite. He traveled so far, you know.
Should hear him out.
Right. And then the conversation is, and Zosia is doing some, I found it manipulative of like, hey, is he dangerous? And she gives him kind of like, or she gives Carol the kind of like, I can't say anything negative. I can't lie, but I want to, like, they don't want Carol and Menounos to meet, right? This is worst case scenario for them.
Agreed. And even the way she puts it, like, he's not dangerous, at least to you, or like, we don't think he'd hurt you kind of thing. Like, we know he would potentially harm us because he had that dude at scalpel point earlier when he was at the hospital. So he's not necessarily afraid to. And we'll get to it in a little bit. But yeah, Menounos seems to have very different opinion of these people now that they don't have, souls from his perspective.
Sure. Pertinent to the time of year it is. I mean, Carol is essentially like, Zoja is, it's like when you receive a gift and you're like, oh, I'll probably wear this. Yeah, this will probably look good on me. Or I could definitely see myself wearing this for, when you receive that shirt that, deep down you have no reason to wear all of the gold and foil and chrome. Anyways, I've been scarred by a lot of shirts given to me over the years.
I'm sorry for this.
They have more personality than I do. I'll just say that, All right. So now we
Hardy.
What's that?
A lot of Ed Hardy shirts.
A lot of Ed Hardy. Just something about me screams Ed Hardy to people. Mainly my mother. All right. So 60 days. So now we do another time jump. Oh, wait, was I wrong on this? She's watching the drone footage. This is 60 days. I don't think I clocked
the way they shot it was weird. Like, because they did 71 days, then they show Carol's house in the drone, and then to essentially get to the meeting, they kind of give us the timestamp of 60 days. So I would imagine when Carol is looking at this drone footage, it is 60 days or 59 days and 22 hours.
Sure, that's good math, Tom. Good job. All right. So we have the meeting. We have the meeting of two people that have shown to be a little bit stubborn, a little bit angry, a little bit... Did you say curmudgeon? That's a great way of putting it. When two curmudgeon meet, Newton's law shows that they reject each other, And it's like, let's talk in the casa. To your point earlier, the translation piece of this is very funny, using the phone. His English that he's learned that he very quickly comes to kind of the limit of. The fact that she wants to meet in the house, the fact that he wants to meet in the ambulance, which is just a terrible, I don't know.
In the back of my van.
This is, Munoz, from childhood, we all learned not to talk to strange men in vans. No machete. That's something we've also learned is hey, if the person's carrying a machete, maybe keep your distance. To your point, I appreciated, maybe we could have brought the peace pipe to the table earlier, but these two just making some terrible suggestions to one another.
Yeah, and I like the immediate tension because of the personalities we've gotten from both of these characters, but, it's interesting to know here that Carol's in a completely different mind space when she made that first video that Manousos watched, right? Because Manousos is just assuming he's going to come to this person that has got his exact same idea, want to save the world, no questions asked. But now we kind of found out that, Carol's kind of drank the Kool-Aid to a point, right? Yep. She doesn't want to be turned, but she is giving herself to the rest of this situation or trying to make the best of the situation. And I was, in all honesty, kind of bummed about, I thought in that last episode she was still kind of playing Zoja and was trying to manipulate her. But yeah, she, as we see in this episode, she was trying to make the best of it and trying to be happy, as I think Helen had kind of told her and had struggled to find happiness. And no, she was in on it.
That 40 days of lonely, I think, really broke Carol in a way that she does not want to return to. And so, this episode even, those are all great points, Don, because you do, Munoz gives his line where he's like, I am Munoz, I want to save the world. And Carol's like, sure, we can talk about it. Come on into the house. And you get the sense that... never meet your heroes, kids. That's what just happened. Munoz met his hero, and she disappointed him.
I just feel again, I know this is the showism, but once eventually you get him into the house, show him your board. Just go through 1 through 11 or 12 that you have, and let him understand. Hey, I've had conversations with them. I don't agree with them. They eat people. They do all this kind of stuff. But I kind of yada that later by oh yeah, Zosha just told me everything. Well, it's what is everything? Kind of deal. I wish we would have gotten a little more of that.
Listen, lawn chairs and an umbrella in the driveway. I think we would have. I think this peace meeting would have happened. Instead
should we made some more lemonade, right?
Right.
So pour some of that concentrate back into that pitcher. add a little bit of extra water, it would have been great.
Exactly. But on the lemonade, you got to do that squirrely line over the end, like in The Office when they're doing the party for Oscar. Oh, man.
Mexican lemonade.
Terrible. All right. So I love the Google Translate. I think it's used well here.
So funny.
Him taking the phone from her and acting that way, I don't know. Like, here's what I think the show has done. None of this surprises us. Like, Menounos is acting like we would assume he would act. Carol is acting like we would assume she would act based on how she's interacted with other people throughout the show. So I was not like pulled out of it by how they were interacting with each other, but as an audience member, and this is just good TV, you're so frustrated by like, no, like we could figure this out. Like, be reasonable. The amount of times I watched a TV show, politics, the news, and just shout, be reasonable. I don't know. I wish I had a nickel. I'd be a billionaire. But
yeah, it's a fair point.
When he throws her phone away and the phone is talking through the grate, just brilliant show writing. Whoever came up with that in the moment, whoever came up with that in the writer's room as they're like shouting things to each other and it's translating, I loved it. I just loved it.
It was so great. It was like, I had to walk 6,000 kilometers to do this so that it repeats it in English. It's so right. Brilliant.
I do appreciate it's name unknown. Word unknown. Yeah. Name unknown. Word unknown. I was like, I don't know. You don't know what Carol is? Come on, phone. But he definitely... Did you know, Tom, does this show make you want to own a machete? For real. Real question. Does this show make you want to own a machete? Did you realize how versatile it was?
I mean, I don't. I feel like you've given me like a buck knife at some point that I carry if I'm going on like a outdoor adventure.
Sure.
But otherwise, this seems like having a machete on your belt clip seems like a lot. And I don't know if I would use it that often, but Menounos definitely shows us the joy of MagSafe in new iPhones.
Yeah. I was like, is he going to stab her phone? And then once it connected, I was like, oh, that's super
dope.
Cool. Yeah, he just stabbed through it. He's like, here's your phone, and holding it on the edge of the blade.
I don't know how phones work.
Yeah. Okay, this leads to the meeting in the field under the umbrella. I love, she's willing to go there, but she's not willing to stand under the umbrella. Too close. Yeah. I was like, I don't know. I just, all of this for comedy played really well. As an audience member that wants these two to like save the world, it was very frustrating. But this is where we get Menounos is like, hey, you realize like, he's like, I know you've talked with them essentially, but they have stolen everyone's soul, which I thought was a really interesting way. Because this show doesn't touch on, or I don't feel like it's touched on, like a spiritual aspect. It's been pretty like scientific and clinical. But in Menounos' idea, it's like what made these people human, how he would refer to the soul, has been stolen from them. And that makes them evil. And they're better off dead because their soul is gone. I thought that was like, I thought it was just an interesting worldview. I'm not saying is right. But are they better off dead? Who knows, Tom? I don't know. Let's go to callers on the phone right now. But I just thought it was an interesting perspective.
Like, I agree with you. And I liked, I mean, because we saw it when he was making his trek, right? Where he was trying to, either if he wasn't staying in his car, he was trying to find like a local church and was staying in there. And that's where he was sleeping. He had like the, I don't know if it was like, St. Mary or something like that, like hanging from his like rear view mirror window. So you knew the guy was kind of religious, but just like the idea of him saying, okay, they don't have souls, we need to now kill everybody kind of deal. Like I get frustrated that Carol doesn't immediately say, oh, by the way, like there's a way that we can change them, as opposed to just saying, no, let's just go ahead and kill everybody. It's just
so in this moment, I didn't get the sense that he was saying, let's kill everyone. I was under the impression that he was saying, hey, like if we do hurt them or something happens, it's okay because they've lost their soul. It's better that they're dead, which obviously we don't have to agree with. But in her video that she sent him, did she not say, hey, we can turn them back? So has that not already been communicated to him? My understanding is that's why he has shown up, is that he hopes to work with her in order to not kill everyone, but to turn them back into who they were, right?
That's what I was going to ask. I couldn't remember what she sent in that first video, but yeah, I think you're probably right. So he does kind of know this, but it just seemed kind of cold and I I don't know, like maybe not necessarily outside of his character, but I just didn't necessarily see this response coming from him.
Sure, that's fair. Yeah, I took it as a little bit different. I took it as like, hey, if we have to crack a few eggs in order to save everyone, let's crack a few eggs. You know, they're better off without their yolk in their brain. Sorry, I didn't eat breakfast, Tom, so I got eggs on the brain. Carol pointing out, like, hey, no, like, we shouldn't hurt them because they don't hurt anything and they can't lie. Like, Carol sees some sort of goodness in them, which I think by the end of this episode is erased based on that ticking time bomb coming back of them being able to, which I just think the Carol, like, storyline and her, once she doesn't think they can turn her and her kind of like, well, I guess I'm just going to live in this situation as opposed to solving it. But then once it comes back to, oh, I've got a month to live, essentially, this becomes a little bit more dire. I thought that was an interesting way to play this episode.
Well, it's just like the constant like tug of war that's happening in Carol's mind, where she's like, okay, now I know they can't change me. I'm going to live my life, and then becoming lonely and then kind of giving in. But then they take her to the diner and she kind of realizes it's all a lie, or writes on the board, hey, remember, they still eat people. But then finding that like more like romantic relationship with Zosha, and trying to kind of like, for lack of a better word, like almost replace Helen, which again, I still have kind of issues with because this has only been 2 months since she lost Helen. And she's still kind of
you were a
on.
7 hours guy, Tom. You're a 7 hours guy. Replace a loved one, I believe. You're on record.
A lot of other circumstances, like I get it. But yeah, like she's just this inner turmoil that's kind of going on. And again, the way Rhea Seehorn plays it is just incredible and fantastic. And I don't think the show would be nearly as good if you don't have that leading woman kind of playing this all out.
Sure. I just want to be on record. I've told my spouse many times that she is not allowed to replace me, no matter what happens to me. So okay. I just keep that in mind when you meet the new guy, Tom. All right. There's this moment where they're in the house now, and Menounos is like, listen, they're listening. They've got drones. They're like, they've got, she's like, they bugged us. And he's like, why are we talking about insects? I appreciated that mistranslation. But essentially, he finds a sensor in the liquor cabinet, which did not know these existed. Kind of terrified. Although our liquor's not in a cabinet, Tom. It's just out in the open. So you can just see whenever something's moved. But I thought this was interesting. It like brought Carol back to, hey, at a certain point I had a problem and Helen was doing things that, you know, I didn't know about, essentially making sure that she was doing the right thing while they were in the, and this also brings back the eggs being frozen again.
Yeah, and I think it's like more Helen, like maybe, which is kind of telling of like potentially not even trusting Carol to be drinking when she like froze her eggs. Like, okay, if I want to have a child with this woman, like I want to know that I can kind of trust her. So it definitely kind of changes the dynamic a little bit between Helen and Carol's relationship. But like, again, like in this scene too, it does like the back and forth we're getting from Menounos and Carol of like, I don't speak snap, which was great, that back and forth. I would argue they should probably check those Cheetos a little bit more. Those Cheetos could be bugged. I mean, that was the first thing he saw.
Sure, yeah, right? You eat them. You know, you just anytime I find a Cheeto anywhere, I eat it. That's to make sure it's not bugged, Tom.
Exactly.
Honestly, I had a physical reaction to the snapping because that's like a pet peeve of mine. And I have had that conversation telling someone not to snap at me before. And
it's just wild, like the Menounos. And again, maybe it's a cultural gap or whatever it was, but then he like slowly comes back and kindly asks her for the phone or whatever. And it was just like so passive aggressive and so terrible. And it's like, if you're trying to make a decent first impression, you're doing a very poor job.
Well, that's fair. But I think from what we have seen of Menounos in terms of his, like, I'm a survivor, like, kind of business-like, almost like militarily like kind of persona, I was not surprised by this, that he did not seem like a guy that had a ton of friends back home, if you know what I mean. I mean, even his own mother, he didn't have kind words to say. And we all love our mothers, Tom. So, you know, I just wrote in the outline, she is unkind to Menounos, but Menounos is also unkind to her. So I don't...
Just to call it out, it's Menusos.
What did I say?
Not an extra N. You're saying Menounos. Menusos? What have you been
that's
saying?
my favorite band. Sorry. I'm,
Menudo.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. My bad.
I had to correct because you also like to add T's in penultimate. So I just want to make sure you're adding the extra N in Menusos.
The beauty of the English language is you can add letters and words stay the same, Tom. It's just, look it up. I looked it up the other day. AI told me it was fine. She essentially is like, hey, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Go to the neighbor's house, which kind of her to like change the sheets, make sure the house is set up. You can tell he's very uncomfortable with this because it's someone else's home. She ends this conversation by saying, my vodka is getting warm, and then leaves. And I wrote that down. I was like, I am going to use that. This is like Lucille Bluth level excuse to leave a conversation. My vodka is getting warm. And you can replace, Tom, you could replace vodka with rum. You could replace it with whiskey. You could replace it with bourbon. It's so versatile. I'm going to get that on a plaque and hang it in my office. Just incredible.
It's incredible. I agree. But like through this conversation, right, we're still getting Carol not being completely honest with him, right? And like not telling him the truth about like what she's kind of been doing in these past handful of days, not talking about the relationship. So that's why in like these upcoming scenes when Menusos calls and talks to Zoja, like it definitely changes quite a bit because now Menusos knows she has not been honest with him.
Right, because I think he asks, like, who have you been talking to? And she hedges. And then all of a sudden he picks up the phone. And I think this is, other than that one interaction with, I guess, the guy offering water, and, like, he's not picked up a phone and called them directly, right? This is what we've seen of him for the first time do this.
I was confused a little bit at first, but I'm sure it just like Carol told him or it was pulled up because Carol called, I think, Zoja in the earlier scene when they talked about like the sensor, but he just knows seemingly right away to be able to go and call this number to be able to get somebody. And the person that answers, I think it's the same guy that gave him water.
Right.
Essentially, Menusos is like chaperones. Maybe it was his friend back in the real world. I don't know. But it's interesting that he asked specifically for Zoja. And like, do you get a sense it was like almost to get under Carol's skin, or that was just the one that he knew Carol might have a relationship with? I just don't know why he wants to talk specific to her, if not to just hurt Carol.
I mean, I don't know how much knowledge he has of the hive mind in the sense that everyone shares knowledge. So his thought is, well, I need to talk to the same person she's been talking to in order to like understand what's been communicated.
Right.
And then
fair.
maybe after having that conversation, he realizes, oh, it doesn't matter which one I talk to.
Yeah.
That's why he gets
one
on the phone and he's like, send me another one.
Yeah.
Which like the panic in Carol when she finds out or she sees Zoja's car and like runs over there. And I don't know that I thought he was going to be like murdering Zoja, but there was a part of me that was like, is this going to get violent because of the seeds that were planted earlier in the episode? But we find out that he and Zoja like speak, and Carol, the ownership of Carol over Zoja I find interesting as well, where I don't know if it's love, infatuation, or just jealousy. Like, I don't know what drove this, that she's my person. And it's a little bit heartbreaking later on when she's talking to Zoja about, like, you know, why did you speak to him? You're mine. And Zoja's like, well, like, we love him in the same way we love you.
Right.
And that is so upsetting to her. I you know, obviously this is not real, but the show has done a good enough job to like draw me into, oh, these are some really weird and unique relationships.
Yeah. Well, and again, like Carol knows this in terms of like when Zoja says like, oh, we love him just as much as we love you, but she's still in this denial and doesn't want to believe it. Right. And she's just super mad. And to your point earlier, like she is like stumbling her words when she's like, you're my, and then hesitates and says chaperone. Like that's the best word that she can kind of come up with because she realizes this relationship is definitely one-sided, where she has these feelings and Zosha might be pretending to have these feelings by using like I instead of we. But I mean, these are just kind of the cracks in the foundation of this quote unquote love not being real.
Right. And there's parallels to this when Kumba was like, hey, I would like to take your chaperone to Vegas with me. And Carol has to go like retrieve Zosha. So she is definitely, I mean, to your point, there are cracks, but I think there's a bit of denial happening here. And that's, I don't blame her. 40 days of being alone, like, I think you tell yourself some fables in order to develop a relationship with Zosha and keep her around. So, but it is a fable, and that's kind of what Menusos is.
Just call him Manny. Manny's easier.
Manny, that's good. All right. Our friend from Paraguay.
I should have let you try.
I know. We would have gotten there. I'm like, Portugal? Anyways, old South America way, as maybe Funke used to say. Zosha lays down. She's like, listen, something's about to happen. And so this is him warning the other guy he's talking to, right? So he was kind enough to, I don't know if kind's the right word, but at least like let them know he was about to cause the seizure.
Yeah, he's doing his experimenting, so he wants to at least give the people the chance to lay down, because I guess that's where a lot of the people died last time, is they were, doing whatever, fall, hit their heads, or whatever. So I would argue still probably killed quite a few people from this, because people could have been doing things that they couldn't just immediately lay down on a nice comfy blanket.
Sure.
But yeah, he was at least showing some signs of good intention.
Sure. Yeah, there was a guy, benching like 350, and then he's like, all right, and I guess this is just gonna cave in my chest, so Rick is a different other, and I want to say, for a show that is like not, although my point is about to be moot, a show that is not like a shoot 'em up, like action, they put so much like tension, and Carol just going back and forth in a cul-de-sac of like, oh no, like Zosha's with him, bring Zosha, oh no, like Zosha's laying down to siege, something else is happening. He's got, and I think this is after he had made the call of like, send me another. So we have Rick on the couch. I did not understand where the leap to get the radio to do the frequency. Did we, like, how did he know to cause a seizure and then try and do the radio to try and bring Rick back? Is this just like a Hail Mary that he is trying, or was there some basis in this?
Yeah, this is why I get a little frustrated by like the yada yada of he told, or Zosha told him everything, like todos, whatever, right? So like, maybe now he knows that he can have an emotional reaction with anybody from the hive, and they could all kind of seize and do what they're doing now. Like, I love the idea of bringing the radio frequency stuff back, because I would assume Menusos now knows that there is some sort of like electrical signal that they use to kind of communicate, like we found out in the previous episode. So he's using this to kind of try to figure out, okay, I found this frequency that is repeating this looped pattern. What happens if I yell at them and they start seizing? And I think it's very interesting, because like you can clock it here, Menusos does, where that pattern is playing, and then he yells at them to seize, and then that pattern, that loop stops. So it's like something that's happening with this kind of hive mind is being disrupted by all these seizures and everything, right? Because he thinks that now that the loop has stopped, they can no longer communicate, and they're collectively, offline, if you will. He can try to kind of speak reason to the soul or whatever else is still inside of Rick here. So it's a very interesting dynamic, and it was kind of cool to finally see this frequency kind of come back into play.
Right. I was trying to take notes during this scene. When she shoots the shotgun, I dropped my phone. It
scared you?
Really jump scare. I don't know why. But and when you drop your phone on yourself, it's just a terrible injury. The bruising and these phones, they're so big these days. But
I know, like you said, man, guns solve so many problems. So this was a great way to bring in a shotgun. To
so many problems. A tool for all occasions. You know what I mean? Anyways, so, and I don't think I picked this up, but she then marches him and puts him in the trunk from this moment. That's like, I was like, why is he in the trunk? It did not dawn on me. My wife had to be like, well, I think after she got the shotgun out, she forced him into the trunk, which, how are you friends after that? You know, that's a little bit weird.
It was so great. Like, yeah, we don't know that that's where he is until like Zojo ultimately leaves because they have this conversation. It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna have to all leave now. But the way that she opens the trunk and he has like his arms crossed and he's like staring daggers at her was so brilliant. Great acting.
Right. There is a bit of comedy here where the phone is ringing and Carol's like, I know who it is, and then it's Lakshmi and she's like, it was not me this time. I thought that was wonderful. We already touched on it, but do want to point out that he warned them before he made them siege, so that says something about him. Now Carol is faced with his actions causing everyone to leave, and rather than sticking it out with Manusos, she decides to leave as well, and the conversation here is the title of the episode, which I think you called last pod, is essentially like, Carol, do you want to get the girl or do you want to save the world? And well, this back and forth conversation was really good because like Manusos is like, okay, this was like cool, they're all leaving, this was worth it, now I know more, which again frustrated me as an audience member because like you could have learned all of this by just having a conversation with Carol, but he had to kind of go off and do his own like set of experiments. She doesn't know about the frequency though, right? That's what he's talking about discovering in that moment. So like the seizing he knew about, but that's like fair. The frequency was new. This guy is a scientist that doesn't take things slow. He's like, what's the furthest I can take my research without any like guardrails, you know? He needs like a control group, I think, too. But yes. But his line at the end here where he's like, now the work begins, was like brilliant. Because it's like, yeah, like this is where they should get together. They're finally seeming to be on some sort of the same page. And like, let's figure out what we need to do to save the world. But gives her that ultimatum and she doesn't even hesitate. She chooses the girl almost immediately. Yep. Chooses the girl over the world. And then that song from The Little Mermaid plays. Something about get the girl or something. Part of this world? No. In fact, I think I'm crossing references. So let's just move on. Yeah. That's what it is. That's exactly what I meant. So I guess I'm a little bit confused on the timeline. How much time does Carol travel the world with Zoja? I thought we were going to do like a Christopher Nolan time jump where we were going to say Carol like old and gray and like talking to the guy across the table and the little spinning totem, but like I mean, based on the timestamps, I think it's like 2 weeks, right? Because they said 60 days when they originally met, and then we get a 74 days when the helicopter comes back and arrives. So this is just a 2-week hiatus vacation, going to the beach, taking baths, skiing, having a great time. Skiing, yep, just traveling the world. Okay, I had a real issue with what she was drinking in the bath, Tom. Was that human? Was she drinking human? It looked like, and the show like pointed it out, like, hey, this is a weird urine-colored liquid that she's drinking. Did she buy in? Was she drinking humans? Like, you think Carol was? Or yes, Carol was just doing it in Carol front? Has a hot mug in the bath, and it like, and the camera zooms in, and it's like an amber liquid, and she's drinking it. And I was like, oh no, she's fully bought in. She's drinking humans now too. Did you not catch this? This is hold on. So this is when they're at the ski resort, or this is when they're in the bath? Tom, they're clearly in the bath. I don't know. Okay. It's 2 women in the bath. I clocked it immediately. They're drinking mugs, and the mug is like an amber liquid, and the show zooms in on it. Okay, I did not catch this. That would be very, very odd if it was. Like, it'd be interesting to think that Carol's now, like, okay with it for have Zoja do it in front of her. I think that's one thing. But I can't imagine that Carol would be partaking in this HTP. If nothing, I would assume it's, like, either a hot toddy or wine or something else. I don't know. Okay. All right. That's fine. I don't want it to be true. I was just... The show did a thing where it was like, hey, remember that weird liquid we showed you? The stuff in her cup kind of looks like it. And I was like, all right. Then we go to the ski vacation, and she's like asking Zoja about her past life. Once again, just trying to like buy into the fable that Zoja's a real person that has a past, that has like had past relationships. Zoja's not sharing a ton, other than that person is no longer, I guess, amongst the living.
Yeah, because she was like asking like if she could like access his mind, his thoughts, or whatever, but she said like no, he's gone. So he apparently did not make the joining, if you will.
Sure. And this is where Carol, a historically unhappy person, reveals that she is so very happy, that she's made it to happiness land.
And I can't remember if this was a conversation that like Helen had with her like at the bar in the first episode or in one of the flashbacks when they were at like that ice castle or whatever. But it does harken back to Helen just trying to tell Carol like you struggle to be happy. Like you always just find unhappiness in everything. So it's like a pivotal moment here when she kind of finally says she's happy. And then what does Zoja do? She just can't help herself. She's like, oh, well, you're going to be even happier. And it just kind of completely breaks that illusion of Carol, and then it kind of gets into this egg conversation, how they could potentially take her stem cells without her approval.
Yeah, I've never seen an episode, but this is the moment where the show pauses and Zach Morris walks on screen, and he's like, or this is where Ron Howard comes in as the narrator and goes, she would not be even happier. And then this is where Carol, which I think the show has done a nice job of telegraphing it, but not necessarily like beating us over the head. I think we've gotten like 3 reminders that we find out that because of her frozen eggs, that they have the ability to extract or develop stem cells. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, Tom. And this is like devastating for Carol to find out that they're doing this. Obviously, they don't need her consent. They have it, and they're working towards it, even though she's supposed to be in this happy relationship with Zoja. And
so I get confused at this whole bit too, because I get that they need her consent to be able to take her stem cells, right? Because they would be doing harm to her to extract them. But this makes it seem like Carol essentially has like 2 to 3 months to live, and they're going to force the join. Like they didn't force the Peruvian woman to join, right? Like she still had to like say, I agree, open this thing, and then I'll sniff it in. Like, I get the sense that Carol feels completely cornered, and I don't understand why she, instead of asking for an atom bomb later, why don't you ask for my eggs back? Like, hey, give me my eggs, or stop doing this. Like, it's just an interesting choice that she's making here.
So, let's talk this through. So, the Peruvian woman would have had to consent by giving up whatever they needed in order to extract stem cells in order to make the dry ice smelling salts. Carol, in this moment, I think if she asks for her eggs, can't they say no? Or is that
it would make her happy. Carol wants her eggs. It would make her happy. Like, isn't that kind of the thing? Because, like, that's where I get a little bit...
Or did they delay this long enough that they're far enough down that it could be like, Carol, we don't have your eggs anymore. We've turned it into, now they're scrambled and we're taking the stem cells out of them.
I don't know. And again, I get it's more the showism. Like, I don't want to like try to poke too many holes in it, but it's just odd that she doesn't like ask for them or like ask them to stop doing this. She just accepts that they're doing it, and they have told her it's going to be either a month or 3 months, and then. Again, does she feel like she's going to get forced to change?
Yes.
Or she's just concerned?
Yes, because Zoja has made the comment, like, hey, it is our, like, prerogative. Like, overriding everything else is that everyone needs to join. We all need to join the collective consciousness. So I think that overrides, like, Carol can't say, like, hey, I don't want to be joined. They essentially would be like, no, because no one on this planet asked to join, and we forced everyone. So I think there's, like... The overriding, like the number one on the 10 commandments of these weird aliens is everyone joins, like that is the goal. This whole planet is going to join. And so that overrides Carol's happiness, like the consent thing, like they couldn't hurt her, but they found a workaround. So, I mean, they have all the lawyers in the world in this hive mind, Tom. So they definitely came up with a workaround, you know?
Yeah, they got Saul Goodman.
Yeah, exactly. So she has, I mean, I took it as she has a month. And this is like, this changes it. We're no longer beach vacationing. The skiing is no longer happening. This is now the threat is back, which I have issue because I like a hero that is collectively trying to save the world out of goodness in their heart. I'm a little bit bothered by it, and I've never been put in this situation, Tom. That might be surprising to you. But I have a little bit of an issue with Carol being like, okay, I'm now going to save the world because they're coming for me. Like, I think that says a lot about Carol, which I know I'm being very judgmental right now, but I don't know. There's some complexity there.
Yeah, that's fair. And again, like she chose to believe in the delusion of the circumstances because of her loneliness and everything else. So yeah, I'm with you. But like the conversation that they kind of have that ends the scene is like, Carol's like, if you loved me, you wouldn't do this. And then Zosia coming back and saying, well, it's because we love you. That's why we're doing it, kind of a deal.
Sure.
But then she even like, she struggles with her words here, right? And her pronouns where she says, it's because we love you. And then repeats it, says, because I love you. And that I love you just rings so hollow to Carol after she realizes like, oh yeah, you're just correcting yourself. Like you really don't love me. You don't have these feelings.
Right. And I love that Zosia's like, hey, remember Kusamaya? She's really happy now. She joined us,
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't think Carol's buying that at all.
Yeah. Read her Yelp review. It was great for us.
Right.
5 stars.
I do wish they would have taken Manusos on these trips, and he would have just been like glowering in the background of all of them. Like they're hand in hand on the beach, and he's just like, a toddler just like kicking shells, being like, I don't want to be here. But they left him alone, and he's taking all of his time, Tom, to translate electromagnetic and electronics books so that he can figure this out. And
this
man,
seems awful.
Google Translate was really made for this, my guy. Like, just take a picture,
Yeah, I mean, just translating these books that are already like wildly challenging topics would be one thing. But I think he does again like stumble on this point of like this looped circuit, or I think he writes like loop equals circuit. Like I don't know what that means, but I guess it's just the general idea of whatever frequency he has found seems to kind of be a looped frequency that is what this hive mind is using to connect. So if you can sever that connection, maybe that is the way to reverse what's going on. Because is the other idea or concept I was thinking about is this other planet or whatever still like pushing this signal, which is causing them to still like act like this? Like if you were to sever that signal that's coming from space, does that then fix everybody? Or is it like they're all infected and they're going to be infected in perpetuity? Like,
so the way I understood it is that signal was simply a chemical compound recipe that they then made in a lab.
Okay.
And then it spread that way. Now, with this radio frequency, the idea is that, okay, did that chemical then allow them all to receive the radio frequency that is causing them to be a part of the hive mind? And so he's discovered a way to break that communication. I don't know. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the writers didn't know, but they'll find it in the room as we go. But we do know there's a way to bring people back because Carol asked that of Zosia and she couldn't lie. So there is salvation somewhere, and Manusos has decided it is through electronics, which, seems like fun. A lot of fun.
I agree. Okay. Yeah, I'm with you. I like it.
Speaking of fun, helicopter shows up, Connex box, Carol's back. She gives a cold goodbye to Zosia, and not very friendly in terms of, hey, I'm sorry, like I made a mistake. She just goes, you win, we save the world. Just someone who's never apologized in their life, this Carol, I don't know.
It was great. But then her final line of like, yeah, it's an atom bomb. And then just complete mic drop, walks away, back to camera or whatever. So now Carol is essentially, I guess, a nuclear deterrent. So again, just continues to prove that guns and bombs, they just solve everything.
They solve it all, Tom. Just a universal tool. That's why the world's humming along right now, because we all got them, We all got them pointed at each other. Once again, there were a couple episodes in this season that I felt dragged, but the show itself is fascinating. The questions you have to ask yourself and the character choices, like, I know there's some showisms, but in terms of other shows we've watched, Tom, I think they stick to the character in such a way that I understand the decisions they're making. from their perspective. And so I did very much enjoy this season of television. And I'm looking forward to, in 5 years, them releasing season 2. Although, you know what, I guess I'd have to go back. Apple is pretty good about releasing on time. Maybe it's some of the other streamers that struggle. What Apple will do, though, is they'll drop season 2 and not tell anyone. And we'll be like, oh, wait, Pluribus is back? You guys didn't advertise this at all. What's going on here? So
this has become, I think, their top rated, or not rated, but watched show ever. So I know like Severance, another series we podcasted on from Apple that was really, really big for them. Like, I think they're definitely starting to get more traction, and I think they've always had really good content. It kind of, because it's a slow burn, and they didn't kind of like use the Netflix method of like, hey, we're going to pump something out every single week so you got something new to watch. Like, they come out with good quality stuff. And we've talked about it before. Like, it reminds me and is reminiscent of like HBO Sunday programming, like just the prestige, really, really good television. And when you have writers and creators like Vince Gilligan that are just allowed to do their thing, even though, yes, it might be slow burn, but it's still, better than 98% of the stuff out there.
Sure.
I dig it, and I'm for it.
Sure. No, Tom, what is in the air in the culture right now that the two big shows on Apple are Severance, where you turn into another person when you get to work, so some level of like mind control or mind separation, and then the whole world's been taken over and turned into a hive mind. Like, why are these two shows in the zeitgeist that we're all like, man, world's crazy right now, Like, I don't know.
We could escape and not have to worry about it,
Right.
That's essentially what it is.
Right. Well, I have enjoyed talking this through with you. For those of you listening, if you would like to reach out, if we missed something, if you've got theories, if you want to guess at season 2, you can reach us at teambingepodcast@gmail.com. If you would be so kind, if you listen and enjoy us, hop on Spotify, subscribe and rate, hop on Apple Podcasts, give us a review. We always appreciate it. Tom, what did I miss?
Yeah, and follow us on the socials at Team Binge or at Team Binge Podcast. Let us know what you thought of this season. Let us know what your favorite Christmas movie is, like we talked about in the beginning. Let us know what you think is going to happen in season 2. Again, I think this is a show that just is ripe for theory crafting, like very similar to Severance. And like Severance, please go check out our back catalog if you enjoyed our shenanigans here. We've done a lot of great other Apple shows, and Dark Matter, Ted Lasso, Bad Monkey, Silo, another really great dystopian kind of show. If you haven't seen that and you like this one, definitely recommend giving it a go. But yeah, thank you again for joining us for this adventure, and we'll see you on the next show.
For Tom, for Team Binge, I have been Julian.
And Julian, for Team Binge, I have been Tom. Till next week, everybody. Well, no, wait, not till next week. Till next show. Goodbye. Happy holidays.